All right, what's up? Duality here. It has been quite a minute, but I'm here with another tutorial. It's more of a track breakdown, but I think there's enough substance here to make it a full-on tutorial. But before we start, I'm just gonna play you the track so you have an idea of what I'm gonna be talking about and showing you. So here is that. All right, so that's the first drop, and we'll be covering that for now. We'll probably get into the second drop in a bit also. So I just kind of wanted to start off by mentioning something that I started doing myself that I think might be really important for you to consider, right? So every song that you're ever going to make, pretty much, unless it's like ambient or I don't know what else, wouldn't use a kick. That's like EDM. But every song uses a kick. And I've recently got kick too. I had it before. It was cracked though. I wouldn't recommend doing that. But anyways, it was cracked. So when I reset this computer here, I didn't have it anymore. And then I decided, fuck it, I'm just going to buy it. Way less trouble. So honestly, buy your plugins. Try not to torrent them too much. I get that they end up costing a lot of money. But think about it. We need to pay these plugin makers to make more plugins and better plugins. So yeah, just think about it that way. Anyways, so beyond that, so because I really couldn't find the perfect kick that would like fit this track, and I had a lot of tracks in the whips folder that had a kick that I wasn't in love with. So I was like, all right, fuck it, kick 2, let's get it. So this is what the kick sounds like. Nothing too crazy. It might be a bit too subby, but this track is done, so whatever. I'm not going to change that now. But yeah, I would generally tell you to just always make your kicks. It also builds like a sense of individuality, right? So the kick is like the foundational structure of a song, right? The drums are generally that, right? So I'll show you what the drums sound like. They're not anything crazy. They're really simplistic, at least for this drop. But that was kind of the point, because I didn't want the drums to get in the way of the like melody that I was trying to build with the synth. But here's what that sounds like. So as you'll notice, I use a lot of like hi-hats and a lot of like crashes, rides. I don't think there's any rides in this track, but there's a lot of like chinas and like more, I guess I can only call it like metal style drums. I love the metal style drums. I love chinas a lot. I use those way too much. But my drums are relatively simple. I'll give you a listen of the clap. Nothing too crazy, but I generally try and make all of my claps myself. I can't make them from scratch, so I end up kind of just taking bits of other people's claps and meshing them together. So that's what that sounds like. Nothing too crazy. But yeah, in the drums, there's really not much. So let's move on to what is arguably way more interesting, which is the basses. So here's the first layer. This is kind of just a layer that rings out throughout the entire song. It really doesn't change that much. So let's kind of look at what is happening here. So we have a Serum, which, if you know me, I don't use Serum that much, but I've been using it a little bit more recently. I'm still very much addicted to Faceplant, and I don't think that's going to change, but here we are. So we have a basic shave, or basic word, whatever, okay, whatever that. A little fancy. Just FM'd. I didn't even pitch up the oscillator. I don't know if I forgot, but I didn't do anything much. And then that's about as far as that goes for the FM tab, or the main tab. Then we have the effects. So tube distortion, nothing too crazy. Just LFO1 routed to it. Then we have some delay, which is at 15.15. Probably completely coincidental, but funny enough. And then, wait, let me see what it sounds like if I... So, without the delay, nothing. And then it starts to have its, you know... So, yeah, so really what gives it its sound is the delay and the Combs filter. So Combs is just put at the sweet spot. Nothing really there to know. I up the release to max on the OTT. Whenever there's like really long tails, that's what I end up doing to get rid of them. I don't know if this is what you should be doing, but that's kind of how I get rid of that problem. So if you're an audio engineer, sorry, I wanted to tell you. Oh, I forgot to cover. I use a lot of like just normal filters. I believe this is a low pass filter, I think. Anyways, low pass filter, resonance, you know, just pretty general stuff here. That bass is just kind of a layer in the background. It's just to add, so it's not so empty. Like if I take it out, then you listen to the track. Right, but with it on, it adds a little bit of like flow to it, gives it a different vibe, a different feel. Anyways, now let's get to the main bass that plays throughout the entire song. Well, they both play out through the entire song, but this one is more like a background layer, and this one is definitely way more at the forefront. So what is happening here? What is this bass? This is a nightmare. Anyways, just kidding. So I think I actually tested it in mono, and it sounds fine. So just in case you're like, oh my god, what are you doing? You have detune on. That's horrible. You're never going to be able to play this live. I tested it. I think it's fine. So we're good here. So the bass is not too complicated. So basically, it's an FM bass, obviously. You know, dubstep FM basses. But we just have a same wavetable as the previous, with 6 detune. Honestly, I could have probably put it to 7, so I can blend it a little bit more. But that's just details. Doesn't really matter at this point, because the bass sounds fine. With all the LFOs are just kind of sparsely thrown around and are made to give it a specific feel or something like that. I honestly don't remember making this bass too much, so I can't really go too much into the explanations of why I did certain things, but I can explain this HN12 filter. So I wanted something that would give it more than just a high-pass, low-pass filter. And HN12 kind of seemed like the perfect option, because it boosts and cuts a few different frequencies, which can really make your sound a little bit more interesting than just a pretty bland filter. And then with that, I just automated the frequency, which automates where this goes back and forth, and also the cutoff, which automates this to go back and forth. And then I boosted the resonance quite high, drive, you know, normal stuff. Then let's get into all the post-processing. So first off, distortion. Jeez, that sounds incredible without everything. Did this have chorus? I think it did. Chorus. Just kind of makes it wider. And with these like really high-end frequency sounds, you can get away with going a little bit crazier with the stuff that's going to put it out of phase. I'm forgetting the word right now, but anyways, you can go a little bit crazier with that. So the delay is pretty much what I always do, which is like a tonal delay. This time its feedback is around like 49, 48 probably. Mix is always max, and the delay timings are 25.14. So that will give you this. Oh, wait. I'll take off the filter. So it's basically all the way there already, but I just added a flange filter. It doesn't add that much, but I think it just makes it sound like 5% better, but 5% better is still better. So that's great. And then OTT, you know, compress it more. Dubstep, always need more compression. Anyways, so that's pretty much the main bass, and that just rings out throughout the entire song. Oh, I didn't really tackle these effects. This is just my White Boy rack, which is just like an ensemble from Kilohertz, and that's just these settings. But I lower it just to add some more stereo width. I don't know if it necessarily needed it, but it's there. OTT, nothing insane. Saturator. I turned it off because it kind of made it sound weird. Oh. You hear it. It was like not quite the amount of distortion I was looking for, or not like the sound of distortion I was looking for, so I opted to like leave that out and not use it. Normally, Saturator is pretty much on every sound that I make, so maybe it's even a nice little break from Saturator. All right, so let's go into another thing which I think is pretty interesting. The sub is not that interesting. Basic sub, whatever, that's fine. But what kind of gives the song its weird vibe flow is this distorted mess, which I really like, and I'm going to keep using in the future for other projects. And it's basically bright white noise with analog BD sign, tube distortion, and then saturator, EQ, boosting highs, erosion, boosting highs again on a white noise, another erosion, because can't go wrong with more than one, a pedal at 48%. My eyes are terrible, so I can't really read properly. Overdrive. I don't think I changed anything. I think I just put it there, and that was that. Amp. Love Amp. Amp is such a great plugin. It's native to Ableton, but it's really good. And then limiter, literally unchanged. And last EQ, literally just copied the same EQ, boosted the same spots, and that gives us this. So that's the first drop, pretty much tackled. This bass doesn't really change. I think the only thing I don't think I change anything about this bass at all. Yeah, I don't really think I'd change anything. I think I might just change like the frequency on this. That's about it. All right, let's move on to the second drop. We'll play the build up and the drop, and then we'll talk about it. All right, so that is the second drop, and it's a lot more of the same. The only real things that kind of change is like the sub pattern changes, which gives it this interesting flow, I think. And the sub always cuts at the first bar of every second bar. I don't know if I'm explaining that well enough, but I think visually you can kind of see what I mean. So, yeah. And every kind of start of the bar, there's this pattern of that repeats itself. So, dun-dun-dun-dun, and then that goes on till here, and then we change the pattern here. And I'm pretty sure this is like essentially the same thing as before, except just frequency shifter to change the pitch a little bit. And then instead of the basses that we used here, which sound like this, I can bounce them to audio, I believe, and I just probably, what did I do? Okay. So it's literally the same sound with a resonator, I'm assuming. Yep, resonator and a frequency shifter. That just plays at I believe this is either a triplet or dotted pattern. And the patterns kind of change with the rest of the song to give it different vibes and flows. Apart from that, really nothing changes. Except instead of using the clap from the first part, I use the snare that I've been using a lot recently, which sounds like this. Just EQ'd it a bit. In these headphones, it sounds not great, and I would never recommend doing any mixing in Razer gaming headphones. That's a terrible idea. I would never do that. I'm sure you could probably figure it out and get good at it, but you're making your life a heck of a lot harder. I'm just using these headphones because my Blue Yeti fell off my table and broke, so that's fun. So until I get a new mic, we're going to be stuck with Razer quality headphones, so enjoy that for now. Do apologize in the meantime. Okay, so let's tackle the drums here, because I think that's like pretty much one of the only things that changes apart from the subflow, and obviously the synth flows and some of the like layers change, but so basically we go on with this stutter step type beat that I've been doing a lot, which kind of adds a kick, either a 16th or a 32nd before the snare, which gives it this nice little dunna, dunna, like stutter vibe, which I really like. And I've been using that a lot recently in my songs. I think it does a really good job. So yeah, if you want to copy that, feel free. It adds a different flow to what we normally hear in like Riddim or Dubstep, which is like kick on 1, snare on 3. That's that. Right? Adds a little bit of variation, which is sometimes much needed in dubstep. Apart from that, just different flows, different vibes, same basses essentially, but just cut and pasted in different ways, and we get this. What the hell? There we go. Same as the first basses, just frequency shifted different, and again, same basses, frequency shifted different, and in a different like phrase, I guess if you want to call it that. So yeah, that's pretty much this song. It didn't take me too long to write, but getting the pieces to fit together was probably the thing that took the longest. So yeah. Anyways, this song will be out on May 1st. So at the time this video releases, this song will be out, and hopefully you enjoyed the tutorial, I guess, of how I made this track, and I hope that you'll check out more. If you want to check out my previous tutorial, it was on Faceplant. It was on this song I called Fuck You, Tony. that is not out, and I don't know if it ever will be because my Mac broke and that project is kind of stuck on there for now. So we'll see what happens with that. But anyways, you can check that out. I'll link it below, and I'll also give you guys a link to this song and the EP I released a few months ago, which, yeah. Anyways, thank you so much for checking this video out, and I will see you guys later. Peace.